Welcome into Nice and Blunt. My name is Adam Riacho. Sorry for the peak in volume. Maybe I keep it down a little bit. We're here. It's Monday night. It's time for an underdog draft. Let us fucking go. Time to win. Alrighty then. We do have a game tonight. As Quincy says, we are getting blessed with a phenomenal preseason game. I mean, as phenomenal of a matchup as we can get. The Bengals take on the Commanders tonight. Probably Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is going to sky fucking rocket up the board, assuming he has a strong showing, as I'm expecting. Anyways, we are hopping in to an underdog draft. We are doing a flock tournament first. And fair warning, flock tournament, you do not get anything for second prize. If you ain't first, you are last in the flock tournament. So buyer beware. If you want to draft with me, be my guest. But I will be hopping in. I will drop the join now button in the chat. I hope you have it queued up because it's coming very shortly. If you see it, that's when I'm going to click the button. So it'll hop in. It'll happen any minute now, any second now. There we go. 7 spots left. If you want to lose this tournament, be my guest. Go ahead and contribute $10. But even if we win, we also don't get any money unless we make the final. You have to win the 12-team pod, and then thankfully, once you advance in the playoffs, the advance rate is as good as it can get. 50%, 1 out of 2 in weeks 15 and 16. And then there's a 100-seat final with up to 10K up for grabs. This is the 8th flock contest, and most likely the only entry I'll be doing. I have my money in other tournaments generally, but very excited. We got 4 spots left. Should be underway pretty shortly. And then once I know my pick, I'll probably get some water. Actually, no, we still got coconut water in the fridge. Sometimes I forget I got a mini fridge right behind me. 2 spots left. Quincy says I'm in it just so I can get help. You get you can help me get whoever you want. You don't have to help me, man. Take who you think is the best pick for your team. That is how we should all be drafting, with your best interest in mind. If it happens to be a good pick for me, so be it. I can't ask you not to draft who I want, but it's full. We are underway. Which pick do we got? Pick 6. Great fucking pick. Love pick 6. That's great. So we'll get a good option. I guess at worst we're getting Justin Jefferson, but even that is probably just fine. That's still probably just fine. But given some of his concerns, maybe pick 5 is better. But based on who comes back around, pick 19 is usually way more valuable than pick 20. So love pick 6. Quincy agrees pick 6 is the best. It feels like one of the safest spots to be drafting. And then generally you're always getting a player that falls every single round. It's a really, really good spot to be in. Pick 6 is very nice. Very, very nice. Do I look fancy? Technically, this shirt is linen, but just a typical shirt. How much money we win today? We are poised to win 10K. That's what's going to happen. We're going to win this tournament today. It's time to win, baby. Do I need to adjust anything for the board? There we go. Zoom out just a little bit. Now everything fits. Okay. Gibbs goes. Would have loved to get Gibbs. It's been rare to get him at pick 6. Saquon goes. So yeah, it looks like we are taking Justin Jefferson. Or do we mix it up? Nah, I'll trust Jefferson. He returned to practice today. So, should be fine. Should be fine. What's my name? My name is Adam Riancho. Yeah, I think people wised up to what Gibbs is really capable of doing. And I also think some of the like hype on, some of the trust level on Dave Montgomery may have faded just a little bit. But I think people are just a little more. I think maybe the Madden curse spooked some people off of Saquon. And then when you consider just how young Gibbs is and just how good he was in the fantasy playoffs last year, he's such a good pick. Gibbs is so safe. On the live stream, I don't really mention my name, but in every video, it's kind of like a tick I have. I do bring up, like, almost every fucking video I post is like, welcome to Nice and Blunt. It just gets me into the fucking zone. But we're all set. We're good. Yes, indeed. If you're watching, if you're a return viewer, please hit that like button. Helps with the algorithm. Always a nice little assist there. But round one goes very typically. Nothing strange in round one. McCaffrey does fall to pick 9. Does go at pick 9. Quincy, are you watching the game tonight while streaming, or are you ending for it? I'll probably just watch the highlights on YouTube after the game is over. In general, the first quarter is kind of the only like valuable information we get. Like sometimes there's some really good performances from, lower depth pieces or, second stringers or like rookies. Rookies usually have a bit more involvement, but typically I'm not watching the preseason with like bated breath. I'm not like glued to my TV for the preseason. That's just how I go about it. But looks like I'll get. Oh, Devon Achane is there. Fuck. Shit. Fine. I'll take Achane. No, not what I want, but based on the price, I'll bite the bullet. I'll accept the underwhelming pick. Not fun to be chasing injuries at this time of year. Not generally the move. Wow, AJ Brown falls to 21. I'm surprised the team with Saquon passes on AJ Brown. That feels like an automatic way to start the draft. When you have Saquon, if you get AJ Brown, like why not take the Eagles setup? But that team at 5 does pass on AJ Brown for Chase Brown. They go double RB, and I almost kind of wish I took Christian McCaffrey so that I would not have taken Achane with that pick. But just a few days ago, we were excited to take Achane in the first round, so maybe he's gonna be okay. But typically, soft tissue injury, not the most exciting thing to be investing in this time of year. But gotta stay optimistic. We are still gonna win. So this is the combo you need. That's the way to go about it. No risk it, no biscuit, baby. Also, there's no point in playing it safe. If you finish second, it's just as good as finishing last. So we're shooting for upside. We're getting a massive discount on Achane at pick 19. Let's go for it. Let's stay positive, baby. Remaining positive. But both players dealing with injuries this offseason. Not ideal. Anyways, I don't want Marvin Harrison. I never take Harrison. I have a lot of JSN. I've been trying to catch up a little bit on Mike Evans. I'm going to go Mike Evans. Evans scores touchdowns. He also gets the Dolphins in week 17, and the Dolphins have one of the worst defenses, especially in the secondary, you can find. So let's take Mike Evans and pair him up with A-Chain. I'm fine with that. Does correlation matter for this tournament? I do think week 17 correlation matters. I wouldn't say it matters as much in weeks 15 and 16, but the final has 100 people in it. So at the end of the day, there's still probably going to be some overlap on players, especially in terms of like who advances into the playoff settings. It probably matters a little less, but if there's one week I do kind of care about, it might be week 17. I probably don't give a shit about any other correlation, but stacks are still a way to elevate your ceiling. If you guess right or draft correctly on the stacks, then you're that much more likely to hit with the correct pick. So I'll take Evans, but I have updated my rankings. I actually do rank Evans as the most valuable pick here. The Godwin injury, you have to upgrade all Tampa Bay Bucks wide receivers. Egbuka saw a massive rise for good reason, but Evans didn't really move. I think you should be giving Evans just like a little bit of a bump because he was top 3 last year when Godwin was out. The upside is still one of the highest in the NFL with Mike Evans. You know he's locked into 1,000 receiving yards. He's going to break the record this season. I ultimately trust Mike Evans, and the touchdowns feel more reliable than any other player. I used to think Adams was the most reliable touchdown maker in round 3, but with the Stafford injury, I don't think that's the case anymore. Travion goes at pick 41. Would have happily drafted Travion at 43, but he goes 2 spots higher. Xavier Worthy off the board. And if I had taken A.J. Brown instead of A-Chain, I would be drafting Jalen Hurts here, but we don't have that option. And I'm just going to get ahead of the market a little bit on running back. Especially with A-Chain, I would like a reliable RB2. We'll go Kenneth Walker. But yes, Jamie, Stafford did practice today. That's great news. I don't know if he's 100%, but just for him to be practicing is ultimately a good sign. Let's hope he stays healthy. That's what we need. I got a lot of Davante Adams shares, so let's hope that fucking happens. I'm still at like 19% Davante Adams. So I'll pivot. And with the week 17 correlation, I think I can justify Mike Evans here. But we go Kenneth Walker in the 4th round. He's been moving up the board as well. It looks like his volume in the passing game is going to be elite this season. And especially when you factor in his new offensive coordinator, who was the offensive coordinator in New Orleans last year, Kenneth Walker might be this year's Alvin Kamara. We could get top 5 value from Kenneth Walker when healthy, especially in full PPR. I do think Walker is a very good player to target. But wow, very interesting that Jalen Hurts goes pick 46. Severe Jury is in this chat with us. That is Quincy, if I'm not mistaken. He does have A.J. Brown, but he had Lamar Jackson, so he passed on Jalen Hurts. And the team with Josh Allen may have made a mistake by taking double elite QB with Jalen Hurts. So maybe quarterback is going to be more valuable in this lobby. Probably gets pushed up a little bit. JMO goes. Would have loved JMO at a discount. I'll take Travis Hunter. F it. Let's go Travis Hunter. Based on the reports I've been reading, it looks like if you thought he was going to be a defensive player first and then like kind of sprinkle in on offense, it's going to be the opposite. It sounds like he'll be a full-time wide receiver and then be used strategically on defense. Sounds that way to me. And the way Trevor Lawrence is talking, like he's going to be lobbying to keep Hunter on the field every single snap. That's what it sounds like. So at least in fantasy football, it seems like he'll be more legit. And I did mention on the last live stream I kind of feel regretful that I have heavily faded Travis Hunter. I'm only at like 5% Travis Hunter in terms of exposure. So if I have the opportunity to get back in on him, I'll take him. But I did consider Waddle there. I also considered Rashee Rice for a potential Mahomes stack. We do have Mahomes on the thumbnail. And with the team that went Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, elite quarterback might be a bit more coveted in this draft. We'll see what happens. But so far, the team is pretty balanced, pretty strong. As long as A-Chain is healthy enough, then we have reliable picks so far. But A-Chain, a bit of a gamble as of today. But Jefferson, Mike Evans, Travis Hunter feels safe. And then Walker, I think, is kind of locked into top 15 production at running back. As long as he's healthy. Obviously, he is kind of an injury risk. Sometimes he does get hurt. Like, consistently, we've seen Zach Charbonnet on the field each of the last 2 seasons. Walker kind of catches an injury bug kind of often. But injuries are random at the end of the day. If you told me Kenneth Walker plays all 17 games, it wouldn't be a big shock. So I'm willing to trust him as of today as a very good pick. Also, this tournament only dropped in the last like 24 hours. So typically, we're not competing with, like in Best Ball Mania, you're competing with a bunch of teams that took Walker in the late 5th round. That's just not the case in this tournament. Connor available. This is a good price on James Conner. F it. We got a little risk with A-Chain. Let's have a strong running back room. Let's go James Conner. Perhaps A-Chain will be held out early in the season if this soft tissue injury is maybe more serious than I would hope. Perhaps he misses some time early on. Hopefully he stays healthy as the season goes on. That's kind of the main concern. But in week 1, maybe we need a little extra depth at running back. But Connor, if he stays healthy, is going to be a top 15 running back himself. That's what he was last year. And the only reason he goes this late is because of his age. It's not a question of can Connor put up numbers. It's a question of can Connor stay healthy. So we have a little injury risk at running back so far, but in terms of upside, we got very good production there. That's going to give us the luxury of passing on the position as this draft moves forward. Jamie is saying, I have Jefferson and Ladd so far. What do you think about either Kyron or JSN at my pick? I assume that's in round 3. I'd probably go Kyron if Hampton's off the board just for roster construction. After round 3, it can be difficult to get running backs that you trust. Sometimes they get sniped easily. So I'd probably keep it balanced and go Kyron Williams there. But Juwan Jennings falling a little bit. I think he's the safest wide receiver available. Let's go Juwan Jennings. Let's take him. And now I'm hoping that my quarterback comes back around, but that team at 11 might snipe me. T-Money 848 at 11 has Igbuka, and I'm hoping they do not snipe me on Baker. But grabbing Baker in the 7th round feels just a little bit expensive and not like my favorite thing to do. If Juwan Jennings was off the board, I might grab Baker for the stack, but Jennings was available, so let's take him. Quincy, yeah. In the back of my mind, I'm kind of convinced that Team 11 will be drafting Baker at most likely 86. Probably pick 86, but a man can hope. A man can hope and pray that it doesn't happen. He takes Mahomes at 83, unstacked. That's a good sign. That's a great sign. They go Kelsey. Fuck yes. Now we just need other teams to pass on Baker. Come on. Mixon off the board. Definitely not who I was going to take. Happy to see running back coming off. But team 8 goes Pittman. And then if we can just evade one more drafter. Yes. Cooper Kupp off the board. Phenomenal. Very happy with Baker. I think Baker might be one of the most valuable quarterback picks in terms of ADP that you can find. I have him in the same tier as Joe Burrow. Meanwhile, Burrow was taken at pick 49. He's either going at 49 or as late as 72. But you get Baker almost 2 to 3 rounds later than Burrow. I have Baker ranked above Mahomes, above Bo Nix. To draft him as quarterback 8 off the board feels like a great value. Stacked up with Evans, no-brainer. Love the price on Baker. And for once, I'm not drafting Jaden Higgins in the 8th round. Wow. Today's a strange day. But we do have some like legitimate injury concerns with a lot of our picks. Like Jefferson only just returned to practice. A-Chain not practicing right now. Evans at 32. Walker consistently gets hurt. Travis Hunter plays both sides of the ball. That's not great for injury. James Conner's also old. Juwan Jennings currently banged up. There's a lot of injury risk on this team right now. There's a chance that this team sucks. But if they stay healthy, this team I think is very strong. Let's expect that to continue. But tight end is flying off the board. We see Ingram, Tyler Warren, Tucker Kraft. So just to stay competitive in this league, I'm going to grab Colston Loveland. I'm going to pull him up. I do rank him above Tyler Warren and Tucker Kraft, so I think it's a fair pick. Looked good in the preseason. Cole Kmet also was involved, but I think as the season moves on, the draft capital they invested in Loveland is definitely a big sign that he will be their focal point at the tight end spot. So let's take Loveland. There's also some Week 17 correlation with Juwan Jennings and the Niners and Chicago. But interesting to see Brian Robinson Jr. here at 104. There are some trade rumors around Brian Robinson Jr. Apparently they're shopping him, and one of the leading candidates to acquire him might be Houston. So that's a big sign that they don't feel good about Mixon, if that is indeed accurate. And then it's also a big sign that the Commanders really like Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. JCM perhaps is this year's Kyron. I don't know if I would go that far, but JCM, going to be interesting to see where he goes in this draft. Dev says I have 11% JCM. I have not been drafting JCM as much lately because he's been going much higher than I'm accustomed to, but that's a good exposure on JCM. I have JCM at 14%. And there was a point in the season when it was 15, 16%. Quincy says, I had about 5% of JCM when he was going in the last round, then he shot up in ADP. I chased him up until round 15, and then I kind of cooled off as it started to go even higher than that. Now it feels like maybe you could take JCM here. I don't know if it's that egregious. If the trade actually happens with B-Rob, it's possible that JCM is this valuable where you could take him in this round. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait a little bit longer, but I don't think it's the most insane thing you could do. We're on the clock. And I thought Caleb Williams looked pretty good. So let's grab another high upside quarterback. Let's go with Caleb Williams to stack with Colston Loveland. And now I got Baker Mayfield, Caleb Williams. Let's trust Ben Johnson. Maybe Luther Burden can circle back around. Quincy says, I've been seeing him go in the early 100s. I'd consider him at around 120, according to Quincy. That feels fair. Until the trade happens, maybe it's not the safest bet, but I've had the opinion all offseason that B-Rob will lose the job inevitably. Last year he got hurt. He also had some fumbling problems, and he was hyper reliant on touchdowns. He was not that efficient. He was barely getting more than like 12, 13 touches a game. Brian Robinson was not that like reliable in that offense. They don't feel like committed to him. And obviously the writing is very clear on the wall at this moment. They are ready to move off if they can. It's not the regime that drafted Brian Robinson either. It's a new coaching staff, new offensive coordinator, new GM as well. And we have seen some 7th round running backs pop off in recent history, like most notably Isaiah Pacheco. There's that level upside with JCM. But when to take him is the question. He just goes at 124 to Severe Jury. I think Severe Jury knew that I was going to take him, but Quincy just told us he'd consider him at 120. He takes him at 124. So maybe if I wanted him, I should have shut my fucking mouth and not said anything. But we do see a big discount on Ayuk right here, but I don't have Purdy. I have Caleb. So let's get another stacking option. Let's go Luther Burden. And I feel decent about my running back production as long as they stay healthy. We're not dying to draft running back here. I need a 5th wide receiver, but I will be honest. If JCM was not taken at 124, I probably would have just taken him there at 126. Cobra says just saw JCM at 94. Wow. So that's like an official swap straight up with Brian Robinson. B-Rob goes 104 in this draft. Very interesting. I still think Austin Eckler is going to be involved, but Eckler's also like 31. Eckler got hurt last year, missed considerable time. Eckler's not like a major threat all season long, but I do still think Eckler's involved. Quincy asking Breece Hall to the Commanders? I doubt it. I would not expect that to happen. You've seen JCM in the 90s. Damn, he is flying up the board. I think that's the highest you could justify. Like, you really gonna take him above like Tony Pollard, David Montgomery? I don't think so. But who knows? Maybe he's really that valuable. I'm so happy I loaded up back in May, June, and July before this price increase. Because if he was going this expensive like a month ago, or even like, just a few weeks ago, it would not have felt as exciting. But I got so much JCM in the final round. That feels really cool. Like, I think I have 9 Best Ball Mania teams this season. I have not been drafting BBM very often. 3 of them have Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, and they're all in like the 17th, 18th round. That feels good. But Stafford goes 136. That's kind of interesting. Stafford has no rushing value, so it's just the market on quarterback right now. My running back room is a bit fragile, so I'm considering Trey Benson, but instead I think I'm going to grab a reliable tight end. Let's go Dallas Goedert. We're going to snipe the team with Jalen Hurts, but I don't care. I think in round 12, Goddard is like the last like really reliable tight end that could put up top 10 numbers. Sometimes he lets you down, but then he also can crack like 20 points in a given week. Goddard's very valuable. So I'll take him here. And now if I like felt the urge to just only hammer running back wide receiver the rest of the way, I can stop with Colston Loveland and Goddard. I think that's a combo I'm comfortable with. And then I could also technically stop at quarterback with Baker Mayfield and Caleb Williams. I don't feel, uh, desperate for a QB3 with that combination. But if we get a good value, I'll definitely consider it. However, right now, quarterback is really being priced a bit high. Like Cam Ward at 138, Stafford at 136. You don't see that very often. Penix to the team at the bookend, 132. That's just a few picks above ADP. It's not strange. But we kind of expected a bit of a market increase at quarterback given that team that went Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. So with that in mind, I don't feel like these running backs are like that coveted. I'll go Bryce Young. I think a player that's being underdrafted. I rank him at, I believe, quarterback 20. He goes at 22, but in this lobby, he's going later than that. He's like quarterback 25 off the board, if my math is correct. Quincy's saying my team is crazy. Let's take a look at Quincy's team. He's at pick 4, goes Gibbs, Breece Hall, JCM at running back, wide receiver A.J. Brown, George Pickens, Matthew Golden, Jacoby Myers. Very strong top 4 receivers. And then also has Marvin Mims, Josh Palmer. Decent price drop on Mims here, but still might be a little too high for my liking. And then quarterback is Lamar Jackson unstacked with Dak Prescott paired with Pickens. And then tight end room is Andrews, so Lamar is stacked up. And then Tucker Kraft. You mentioned original plan was to get Jordan Love, but instead goes JCM. All right, so I might backstack Bryce Young, but some of his high-end production last year was related to rushing touchdowns. And with a recent hamstring injury for Tedero McMillan, maybe backstacking Bryce Young is a bit more valuable than we used to think. But Geno, Sam Darnold go off the board to that team at 11. That team at 11 has Mahomes, and then an unstacked Geno and Darnold. Wait, do they have... They do not have JSN. Okay. The team with JSN passed on Darnold. But Kyle Williams goes 159. 14 picks past Demario Douglas. I still think that's kind of early on Kyle Williams. I'm personally not a big believer in Kyle Williams. Like, maybe the rookie bump later in the season is going to be worth it. Like, all the money in these tournaments is at the end of the year in the fantasy playoffs. Maybe Kyle Williams is the guy you need, but in my opinion, I don't think he's going to be that involved this year. I'm not like dying to invest in Kyle Williams. I might have like 2% Kyle Williams, to be honest with you. I have maybe 12% Demario. And now it's a question of, do I grab Xavier Legette for the backstack? But Thielen's still there. I'm going to pass on Legette. Maybe he comes back around. I'm going to go Garendo because I've kind of ignored my running back depth for a while. Let's take Garendo. Elite upside if McCaffrey goes down, and let's not pretend like McCaffrey does not have injury risk. So let's take Garendo here. Kind of banged up himself, but I think he is above, what's his name? Jordan James for the number 2 running back in San Francisco. Also, when you consider some of their injuries at wide receiver, it's possible he has more of a role than we're expecting. I'm not going to guarantee that. It's probably unlikely, but it is possible. But I'm not counting on Garendo on this team. If he cracks our lineup, it's just a cherry on top. It's a nice bonus. But with A-Chain, Kenneth Walker, and James Conner, he's not someone I'm relying on. But Shipley goes off right after Garendo. They have the same argument in terms of upside. Elite upside handcuffs. behind some older players that have had some injury risk in the past. But question is, do I go with Thielen or do I get another running back? Thielen goes, so the decision is made for me. I could go Jalen McMillan. And I've ignored wide receiver for a while. With the Juwan Jennings injury, maybe I need some production early on. I'll take McMillan. Because there's a chance that he still operates as a heavy touchdown producer like he did last year. It's possible that Baker still really likes Jalen McMillan. He played so well last year. I don't want to dismiss him. I know it's not like a safe bet, especially when Godwin comes back. The wide receiver 4 in an offense is not exciting. But I do think in the beginning of the season, there's a chance that McMillan does crack your lineup kind of often. And plus, Mike Evans is 32 years old. Maybe he does go down like he did last year for a few weeks. When I have Baker, I'm comfortable taking Jalen McMillan. I don't take him above ADP very often, but I'm pretty sure I got a discount on him. His ADP is 165. I get him 174. And I do have Baker. Torrey Horton goes in the 15th round, right behind Quentin Johnston and Dante Thornton. And then I know who I'm targeting with my next pick. I almost took him with the last one. I'm hoping he circles back. But we already saw a Dolphins handcuff get taken. It's possible another one goes off. Damn it. Yep. Knew it. Ollie Gordon, 185. That's who I was going to take. Shit. Fuck. I'm going to go Kyle Monangai over Roshan. I don't have a lot of Monangai. I've got a lot of Roshan already. And there are some weird vibes in that running back room. Plus, Roshan is dealing with a foot injury. Not participating in practice as of 11 days ago. So perhaps DeAndre Swift not going to be a workhorse on the goal line. Perhaps that role we saw Roshan had last year goes to Monangai. But I think it's kind of a toss-up right now who's that actual backup in Chicago. But I have 2 picks left. I have 6 wide receivers. I definitely need one more. So let's take a look at that position. I'll probably go Jalen Coker to stack up with Bryce Young. I don't have a single Bryce Young stack yet. So that does correlate. He's been moving up the board. I'm not heavily invested in Coker up to this point. But who knows? Maybe he gets sniped. Kendre Miller off the board. Wow. Pretty rare to see a Saints backup running back get drafted. But it sounds like Kendre Miller is in line to be the running back 2 in New Orleans. I don't know how valuable that is. Personally, if it's not Kamara, I don't really give a shit about the backups. Not my cup of tea. I would expect a bit of a rotation, not like a workhorse. And then when we saw Kamara off the field last year, Kendre did jack fucking shit. So if somebody else wants to take him, go ahead. I will not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Kamara misses a lot of time, and that's actually a decent pick. Sean Tucker goes. That's a good pick. With the Rachaad White injury, it's kind of interesting. Rodgers off the board. I will go Jalen Coker to stack with Bryce Young. I've got good tight ends so far. I have Colston Loveland and Dallas Goedert. So even though Jatavion Sanders was in contention for this pick. For the Bryce Young stack, I'll go with a receiver because I need that position a bit more. I'll do that. And then with the last pick, what's my build? I got 3 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 7 receivers, and 2 tight ends. I'm not going to draft a 3rd tight end. My wide receiver core, I think, is fairly strong. We have Jefferson, Evans, Hunter, Juwan Jennings. It might not be elite, but the question is, do I feel safe with my running back core? So this last pick is between RB and wide receiver. We'll give it a little time before we make that decision. But let me know in the comment section, which position do you think I should take? Should I go running back or wide receiver with this last pick? Let me know. Meanwhile, Medium Rare, the only way to eat a steak, is asking, I traded Chase Brown, Jacoby Myers, Evan Ingram, and Tank Bigsby for Kamara, Kittle, Debo, and Mixon. What do you think? Okay, so Kamara, Kittle, Debo, and Mixon. Some big gambles at running back. Major injury concern with Mixon right now, and then Kamara at 30 years old. A big gamble. However, to get Kittle, obviously a big upgrade at tight end. I'd much rather have Kittle than Ingram. Kyle is saying grab running back. We are on the clock. We'll do that, Kyle. Gonna take Kareem Hunt. I'll go Kareem Hunt. Anyway, back to Medium Rare's question. So running back is extremely risky, and you moved off of Chase Brown and Tank Bigsby. But to upgrade at tight end and wide receiver from Jacoby Myers to Debo, definitely valuable. Same with Kittle as opposed to Ingram. So I think it's all going to come down to like the health of your running backs. I hope it works out for you. It's a bit of a gamble. Moving off Chase Brown may not be like the most exciting thing to do, but I think it's a fair trade. I think I probably would have considered it as well myself. I don't think it's a bad trade. It's just a risky trade. The risk at running back is a little questionable, but if they stay healthy, if they're valuable, then I do think you win the trade. Like the only player I'd rather have on the other side of the trade that you got rid of was Chase Brown. And then beyond that, I think you won the trade. So good luck with that. I hope those running backs stay healthy. Anyways, Kyle is asking, do you keep Josh Allen or Derrick Henry in a keeper league? I think I'm keeping Josh Allen with the like plan that I can keep him multiple years. I think odds are I'm keeping Josh Allen. Derrick Henry might be elite once again this season, but you have at worst the quarterback 2 with Josh Allen. I think that's worthy of a selection. I would keep Josh Allen personally. Quincy likes my team, says it's very good. A lot of correlation. Let's recap the full roster. We go Justin Jefferson, Devon Achane at a big discount. Let's hope Achane is healthy. That's the big gamble on this team. Either I lose automatically because of Achane, or I'm in high contention at this price point. But then Evans, Kenneth Walker, I feel very safe with those 2 guys. Walker, I'm starting to think might be a top 10 running back this season. And then Travis Hunter sounds like he's going to be a very safe pick this year, as long as that role on offense does stay put. And then James Conner at a big discount. Love that price on Conner. We also got a discount on Juwan Jennings. I feel like we got a discount at every single pick other than Evans and Walker. And as long as everyone's healthy, I think the top 7 rounds, I think I have really, really good picks. We got Baker for the stack. That feels really good. We have Loveland stacked up with Caleb Williams, plus the Luther Burden stack. That's always nice. Plus some correlation with Jennings in week 17. I have Goddard as my tight end 2. We have Good tight end core on this team. Don't need a third. Bryce Young for that third QB. Bryce Young has top 12 upside. He was doing that at the end of last year. After the bye in the last 7 games, Bryce Young was actually a top 10 quarterback. So don't underestimate him. He's actually a dark horse to be one of the most valuable quarterbacks in fantasy this year. And then we got Garendo for the upside, Jalen McMillan for some more upside. Also, if Evans goes down, we have another insurance policy correlates with Baker. Monangai. Oh, I almost forgot we got Caleb. I honestly, when I took Kyle Monangai, I completely forgot that I have Caleb Williams. So that's another stack. That's great. Literally forgot I fucking had the Bears stack. And then we got Coker for the Bryce Young stack, and then Kareem Hunt. Maybe Pacheco does not stay healthy. I think the team's pretty good. At pick 6, you usually like your teams a lot. But let's take a look at Quincy's team before we move on. Quincy has Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott at quarterback. That's not bad. At running back, we got Jahmyr Gibbs, Breece Hall. Good luck with Breece Hall. And good luck with JCM at this price, but should be fine. Starting to feel like it's worth it in round 11. And then lower end running backs, you got Nick Chubb, Roshan, and Sean Tucker. Good depth pieces. Definitely have a lot of touchdown upside. And then tight end core, Andrews stacked up, Kraft stacked up. And then the receiving core is A.J. Brown at a really nice value, pick 21. George Pickens should be scoring a lot of touchdowns this season, stacked up with Dak, especially if Lamb gets hurt. That's going to be elite upside. Golden, I love Matthew Golden in the late 6th. Jacoby, also a phenomenal value in the 7th, high floor. So your top 4 receivers are very good. And you have Mims, Josh Palmer. In best ball, they do have high upside. They do have some high touchdown potential for some deep targets. So not bad. Wandale for the floor play. And then Jalen Royals potentially going to be on the field quite a bit, especially if Rashee Rice gets suspended and Hollywood Brown is not healthy. Maybe Jalen Royals is actually one of the really valuable options in round 18. I think you have a good team, especially with Lamar. I think you're in good shape. Gibbs, Lamar, A.J. Brown. You have a great wide receiver core. I like Quincy's team as well. That's going to be it for this draft, though. We're going to hop into some Pomeranians now. Some $3 drafts. This tournament dropped today. So that's good news. You can take kind of whoever you want. And this also has a very good advance rate. You have to finish top 3. So a 25% chance of making it to the playoffs. Do you get your money back if you make it to the playoffs? You do. It's only $3, but still, you can break even if you finish top 3. And then in the playoffs, it's 1 out of 6, 1 out of 6 again. And then the final's kind of big, though. Final's 463 people. What do you get if you make the final? $60. Not bad. So let's say you do like 10 of these. You invest $30. If one of them makes the final, you double your money. And if you do 10 of them, you would expect that you at least get like $9 back. Most likely, you'll make it back. So that's what we're going to do to close out this live stream. We'll do 2 of these. This will be the first one of 2. And if you want to join with me, I hope you have it queued up. Look for the words join now. I'm going to drop that in the chat. And as soon as I drop that, I'm going to click the button. So if you want to time it with me, look for that. And hopefully it works out. I think I was the last person in this lobby. As soon as I clicked on it, it said waiting. So odds are you're not in here with me unless you hit it before I did. But most likely I think I'm drafting solo in this lobby. Kyle, no worries, man. What are my thoughts on Cam Ward? I think Cam Ward has very high upside, but odds are in year 1, it does not hit. I think odds are Cam Ward is like quarterback 23. I just put out my quarterback rankings this morning. So maybe after the live stream is over, go ahead and head over to the channel and check that out. If you want to multitask, you could open it up in a new tab and maybe listen to it on your phone. But I have Cam Ward in the same vein as Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, and CJ Stroud. And there is some rushing value that he offers, but in general, you're just kind of banking that the defense is so bad that it leads to a lot of garbage time, and that's going to maybe pad the stats. So because of that, he's got like elite arm talent. There's a chance that he really cracks like the top 15 consistently, but odds are he's never going to be a top 10 quarterback this season, other than some really good matchups. And you know, he's more likely a quarterback streamer. If you play in Superflex, you're going to want to draft Cam Ward as a backup. But in regular redraft, only a one quarterback league, I'll most likely pass on Cam Ward in my draft this season. I doubt if you are in a team that has like a defense and kicker that he's going to be drafted in a regular format. So I got him in the top 25, but for him to finish any higher than quarterback 20, I think is kind of unlikely. It's possible, but it's not something I would expect in year one. I think until we know he has like a reliable receiving core, I don't know if I would trust him higher than quarterback 20. But there's a lot of upside. He's a really talented guy. If you look at his tape, like he's a gunslinger. He makes some really good decisions. The arm talent is undeniable. And sometimes he just like plays so nonchalant. Like sometimes he'll just be like a statue in the pocket. If he has like good enough protection, he has enough like arrogance to just like expect that he'll make the right throw when it's the right time. I like watching Cam Ward, but it's kind of weird that there's like not much hype on him. Maybe because it's the Titans and nobody really talks about the Titans. Even like people that live in Tennessee aren't like diehard Titans fans that often. Like recently I was if y'all watch the channel, you know sometimes I drive Uber as well on the side, and recently I picked up a guy that lives in Nashville, and I was asking him like, so are you like a Titans fan? Are you excited for Cam Ward? And he was like, I care more about college football in Tennessee. Like being a University of Tennessee fan sometimes supersedes Titans fandom. But the defense is so bad, there's going to be a lot of garbage time for Cam Ward. Wow, Brian Thomas at pick 17. Neighbors at 15. What the fuck happened in this lobby? Holy shit. Wow. Neighbors in round 2? That's insane. Bummer, Albie. We got another shot. We'll be drafting one more after this. You'll have another opportunity. What's the strategy with the Palm? Just draft the best team possible. I'll go back to one of my bread and butter strategies with the elite double running back. We'll go Gibbs and Bucky Irving. Tristan Wirfs is banged up, but so is Rachaad White. And at least to start the season, the snap share for Bucky Irving might be elite. I don't fear Sean Tucker that much. But Bucky Irving's a stud. Not going to draft Tyreek Hill here. No effing chance. And then let's risk it at receiver. We took Evans last time. We got to reach on all the receivers here. Let's just go Lamar Jackson. Let's go double RB and elite QB in the first 3 rounds. Gibbs, Bucky Irving, and Lamar Jackson. Let's see how it works out. Quincy says, I've found getting 3 running backs in the first 3 rounds makes drafts way easier. It can always work. Like it's based on how the market has adjusted this year. I think grabbing those elite running backs, at least one, I think is kind of critical. At least one running back in the top 3 rounds is usually the right decision. You can still make it work without doing that, but you kind of get boxed out very often when you don't do it. And with guys like Travion and Kenneth Walker no longer easy round 5 clicks, you can miss out on the running back position, but that team at 9 does go with that strategy. They go Genty, Jonathan Taylor, James Cook, and we'll keep an eye on teams like mine, Team 5 and Team 9. They're in the similar situation as I am. No receiver through the first 3 rounds. On Underdog, sometimes that can burn you, but interesting to see the team at 12 go with Bowers and George Kittle. Also a bit of a gamble from Team 12. But this is a $3 entry tournament. Might as well get a little risky sometimes at this price point. What's first prize in this tournament? I forgot what first prize gets. 25,000 to first. Also, there is no rake in this tournament. 0% rake. That's really nice. Underdog is giving us a bit of a gift here. They're not taking anything out of the prize pool. A 0% rake. I've never seen that other than the Scott Fish Bowl on Underdog. They usually take at least like 8 to 12%. That's kind of cool. But running backs are going off the board. That's good for us. We don't need running back right now. And this price on Terry is definitely worth it, in my opinion. I'll happily scoop up Terry at this price. Even if Terry got traded, he's still going to be just as good as he always has been. You're locked into 1,000 yards. Maybe not 13 touchdowns this season, but in round 4, Terry feels like a no-brainer. I still view Terry as a clear top 20 receiver. I have Terry ranked above Garrett Wilson, above Marvin Harrison. I think it was clearly the right choice to take Lamar. It definitely worked out for me with this price on Terry. We do get sniped on Flowers, so we don't get the stack, but in all honesty, I don't think Flowers is like the best pick here. No, I'll go DK Metcalf. I do rank Metcalf just above Ridley, and he is younger. I like Ridley a lot, but I'll take Metcalf here. I have less exposure with Metcalf than I do Calvin Ridley. I consider both of them kind of identical. Both high-paid veterans, no target competition, a new quarterback upgrade with a lot of arm talent. Rodgers sustained 2 top 25 receivers last year. Metcalf should put up close to like wide receiver 20 this season. Quincy says Bengals have all their starters out there so far. That seems to be their plan this season. Jamar Chase was mentioning in some interviews like, oh, why have you guys been so slow to start throughout your career lately? Like Burrow and the Bengals notoriously suck in September. And Jamar was like, well, we didn't play preseason. This year we're going to play preseason. But I still think they're going to be bad in week 1. I still have a lot of concerns about their defense. The problem is not offense. The problem is defense. If they lose to the Browns week 1, would not shock me. Kyle asking, what are your thoughts on Jakobi Meyers? I think from a floor standpoint, he's one of the best picks on the board. He goes in the 7th round, and that feels like a bust-proof price point. The only problem is he's not like a sexy pick. There's nothing that like really gets you hyper excited, but he gets a quarterback upgrade. 2 years ago, he scored 10 touchdowns. It's possible that he's a top 30 wide receiver for the 3rd straight year. Last year, he was wide receiver 27 in points per game. So from a value standpoint, he's one of the best clicks you can find. He's like such a safe pick in round 7. I never regret drafting Jakobi Meyers. I used to take him a lot in the 6th. Now I've kind of cooled off. I grab him in the 7th when available. But he just doesn't make you like hyper excited when you take him. Like you kind of feel like you're settling. But in general, if he stays healthy, he's going to crush his ADP. He's going to be way more valuable. I think he's more valuable than Jalen Waddle, potentially. He might be more valuable than Rashee Rice It's not a guarantee, but I'd much rather have Jacoby over Chris Olave. I'd much rather have him over Jerry Jeudy. I think in the 6th and 7th round, if you get Jacoby Myers, he's a good pick. Very safe pick. And he goes at 67. But I would say he's probably a better pick in like season long than best ball. I don't know if he has that like elite upside every week, but he has a high floor every week. That is for sure. I could grab Burrow here, but without the stack, it feels pointless. I'll go Stephon Diggs and maybe grab Drake May later. I don't have a lot of Drake May, Stephon Diggs stacks. So at some point, I should probably target some of them. I wanted Matthew Golden, but I did get sniped on Golden at 68. That's all right. Can't get everything. And then here we're back on the clock. Wide receivers kind of drying up. I'm going to go Jordan Addison, highest upside. I could go Juwan Jennings, but that injury kind of concerns me a little bit. And just like Addison, they both might miss like the first 3 games. But I think Addison has higher upside. Addison used to go at like pick 60. So did Juwan, but at least Addison's not hurt. The injury could, linger throughout the season for Juwan Jennings. Also, Addison's been really consistent in his 2-year career, 10 touchdowns in back-to-back seasons. Juwan, up until last year, was fucking terrible. Juwan, up until last year, was never a valuable option in fantasy. Like 2 years ago, Juwan Jennings averaged 3.5 points per game. Does not have a good track record at all. It took him till like age 27 to break out. And not only is he banged up, he's not been practicing because of his contract holdout. Addison has the suspension, but I think once he's on the field, he's a safer pick than Juwan Jennings. But it was definitely between those two guys here at 75. We started off running back, quarterback. I need some receiver depth before it dries up. But not going to get Andrews to stack up with Lamar. Andrews was just taken at 77. And if you want to take him unstacked 2 rounds above ADP, go ahead, but that's not what I want to be doing. Sorry, let me mute my phone. I'm getting a bunch of notifications. That's what that sound was. That last one was me, but the previous ones were my phone. Anyways, TJ Hawkinson goes at 87. I'd much rather have TJ Hawkinson than Mark Andrews. Younger with higher upside, does not have a backup tight end that we're worried about. And although Andrews might score more touchdowns, I see a lot more targets for TJ Hawkinson. Anyways, Mahomes off the board, Jaylen Warren off the board. Now Jaden Reed off the board. My boy is still available. We got 2 picks left. I'm hoping I get my boy. If you watch this channel consistently, you know who my boy is. Damn it! I get fucking sniped. 1 fucking pick. Damn it. Shit. That's a bummer. Fuck. Given Addison is going to miss time at the beginning of the season, I think Cooper Kupp will have value early on in the year, and then it'll start to fade as he inevitably gets hurt. But I wanted Jaden Higgins, and then with a 20-second pick clock, it's like, okay, who do we take? The running backs here are gross with B-Rob and Joe Mixon. So I'll take Cooper Kupp. He was a top 25 receiver last year. When he's healthy, he's okay. And the Seahawks are definitely going to use him. They paid him $15 million. They have plans for Cooper Kupp. The only problem with him is that he probably misses time and is probably not a safe bet in your lineup later on in the season. I thought I muted my phone. What the fuck is going on? Shit. We've seen a big run on tight end lately. I'm going to go Tyler Warren here and hope that my quarterback stack comes back around to me. My cat just jumped off the dresser, and that's what that like flinch was. I was like, what the fuck was that? Also, y'all have not seen Leia in a minute. Let me see if I can get her in frame. There she is. Has not made an appearance on the channel in quite some time, but she's here. She's okay. She's safe. In case you've been wondering, Leia's doing fine. She's right there on the fridge. Okay, let me turn this fucking... Oh, shit. Actually, just got an important text. Maybe it's a good thing. I did not mute this. Forgive me for the dead air. Gotta answer this. Okay. All right. Let's focus. I'm hoping Drake May circles back. That was the plan with drafting Diggs there at pick 70. I think Diggs is a good pick in that 6-7 round turn, but ideally we are stacking him with Drake May. But I do think Tyler Warren is starting to look like a very safe pick at tight end, given the... Is it a hamstring injury for Josh Downs? Josh Downs is currently nursing an injury. I believe it's a hamstring. And in general, he's been like dominating. Whoa, DeMario at 116. Damn it, Drake May goes. Fuck. That's sad. That's a bummer. In that case, I'll go Tucker Kraft here. Get another good tight end. And then maybe I can stack him up with Jordan Love in the next round. But B-Rob went 100. JCM went 101 in this draft. Those trade rumors are pumping him up. And we had a conversation about this earlier. He's been going in the 90s sometimes. So if you want JCM, feels like round 9, round 10 is the time to take him. Maybe I should have taken Bateman. I kind of forgot I had Lamar for a second. But I'll take Jordan Love. Love has top 10 upside. If Love can stay healthy, Love might be a very, very good pick this season. When he was healthy last year, he was actually like top 15 at the position. If you want more details on that, go ahead and watch today's quarterback video. I do have Love ranked above Jared Goff this season. Yo, what is happening with Team 5? They go Demario Douglas at 116, Romeo Doubs at 126. The fuck? Quincy's has Chase Brown looking like he's going to be a workhorse. Jaden Daniels is amazing. I'm going to have to... pull that up on a different tab. I can't show it on the live stream, but I'm going to pull this up. It's making me very, very curious. Every starter out there. Game tonight feels like a regular season game. JCM had a nice touchdown. All right. I'll have this on in a different tab, muted. All right. So after I go with Jordan Love, we see Jared Goff, Dobbs for some reason. Dobbs is also like injured right now, so that's kind of a weird selection. Looks like Jamar Chase is on the sideline, but otherwise, I think Burrow's still on the field, so most starters are there. I regret not having this game up since kickoff. Y'all are making me sad I did not have this running since it started. Because there's only 3 minutes left in the first quarter. People probably get benched after this drive. Anyways, I am on the clock. We've ignored running back for a while. I'll go Tajay. At some point, I think he'll be back on the field. At some point, I think he'll be all right. But strip sack fumble on Burrow right now. But there is a flag on the play. Oh, someone's here. Shit, running back is flying off the board right now. Hollywood Brown goes. I'll go Jaden Blue. We've ignored running back for a while. Blue, I think, will inevitably be the starting running back in Dallas. They're going to need to throw the ball a lot. He's a really good pass catcher, and he's the only one that has speed. Inevitably, the crowd is going to demand that Schottenheimer put in Jaden Blue. Inevitably, he will get on the field. He's the only explosive running back they have. But she's here for a close-up. Let's get her in frame. There she is. The little kitty cat. The little kitty cat. Let's get back to it. But Tillman off the board. I honestly was considering Tillman with that pick, given my receiving core is a little bit thin. But then Cam Ward, Michael Penix off the board. It's a good price on Michael Penix at 150. Strange, then Kyle Pitts, Bryce Young, Najee Harris, Josh Palmer, Dante Thornton, Geno for the Raiders stack. I think that team has Bowers as well. Yeah, that team has Bowers. And then Ertz off the board, Hunter Henry, Rashad White. Isaiah Likely. Quincy, where in my house am I? That's an industry secret, my friend. That's need to know basis. But this is the studio. This is where we record every video. It's the back room. I guess maybe I should not have revealed that if it's a need to know basis. I'll go Garendo again. And that way I can kind of just call it done at running back. I'll stop with these 5. But I think the remaining picks are all going to be wide receivers. I think I need 9 receivers on this team. When I have Cooper Kupp, Jordan Addison, I might need 9 receivers. But because I think I'm kind of relying on Cooper Kupp on this team, I'm going to have an insurance policy. I'm going to go with Torrey Horton. At some point, I do expect Kupp to go down, and Torrey Horton's going to fill in very nicely as the handcuff to own in Seattle. He might get a lot of play even when Kupp is healthy as well, as the clear number 3 receiver. But this team is a bit reliant on Cooper Kupp, so I want to make sure I'm getting the Seahawks wide receiver 2 on this roster. And maybe Darnold comes back around. I kind of regret not taking Darnold when I took Garendo, but I do have Lamar Jackson and Jordan Love. I don't probably need a third quarterback, so I think it's okay. However, technically, I do rank Quentin Johnston above Torrey Horton. Maybe he comes back around. We've seen Quentin Johnston fall like a rock. And in this lobby, Trey Harris fell like a rock. That team with Justin Herbert has passed many times. And if Trey Harris is going to fall like 50 picks, maybe Quentin Johnston also continues to fall as well. Like right now, Trey Harris is yet to be taken. So there he goes at 178. We'll see what the price is on Quentin Johnston. But Darnold does go. Does that team have JSN? Yeah, they do. Makes sense. But possibly I might be able to get Quentin Johnston coming back around. Thielen off the board. Nick Chubb, Jalen Wright, Hopkins. QJ does not make it all the way back. Unfortunate, but justifiable. I think at this price, you can definitely take the gamble on Quentin Johnston. It's best ball. At some point, he's going to score some touchdowns. And he's got the speed and athleticism to score from like 50 yards out. He can score a touchdown any game. It's just a question of like, when is he going to drop the ball? Problem with Quentin Johnston, I think he can't handle the bright lights. I think whenever it's like a really big game, if it's prime time, Quentin Johnston is just ass. But if it's just a regular like 1 o'clock game, Quentin Johnston's actually pretty fine. This price on Jonnu is hard to pass up, honestly. But instead, I'm going to go A.D. Mitchell. Maybe Jonnu comes back around and makes me tempted again. I have Tyler Warren and Tucker Kraft. I don't think I need Jonnu Smith. But there's some injuries in the Colts offense. And I think A.D. Mitchell is going to operate as the Alec Pierce role this season. I might be wrong. Maybe Pierce holds on to that job, but personally, I think AD Mitchell's a bit more talented. And he's been more involved in the preseason. Maybe it's because they trust Alec Pierce and they're trying to make Mitchell prove it. But I personally prefer Adonai over Alec Pierce. There's some high upside in that Colts offense, especially down the field with Richardson. Maybe Danny Dimes can get him some deep touchdowns as well. And then I need another receiver. I'm going to go Elik Ayamanor, looking pretty valuable. And these days he's going in round 17, not round 18 anymore. He's been moving up the board a little consistently lately. So I need receiver. I will go Elik Ayamanor. And then with our final pick, we'll maybe grab a tight end if they're appealing. But I doubt Jonnu Smith will circle all the way back around. That's pretty unlikely. So here's the team so far. At running back, I have Jahmyr Gibbs, Bucky Irving. So elite combo at the top. Our handcuffs are Tyjae Spears, Jaden Blue, and Isaac Guerendo. Tyjae and Jaden both have potential to be the RB1 in their respective offenses. Guerendo only has value if McCaffrey goes down, but would be an elite starter with a ton of volume if that happens. So nothing but upside in terms of backups, and then high production in terms of starters. Our quarterbacks are Lamar Jackson unstacked. That's not ideal, but it's okay. Lamar has a lot of rushing value. And then Jordan Love stacked up with Tucker Kraft. And I'll try and stack him up with my last pick as well. Tight end core, we have Tyler Warren and Tucker Kraft, so good at tight end. And then wide receiver, we got a great value on Terry. We got DK Metcalf in the 5th, followed by Stephon Diggs, Jordan Addison, and Cooper Kupp. And then I've been hammering receiver the last 3 rounds. We also have Torrey Horton for the Cooper Kupp insurance policy. And then I also have AD Mitchell and Elik Ayamanor. But the Bengals just scored another touchdown. I believe Charlie Jones is number 15 you're referencing, just scored the touchdown. 2 years ago, I actually thought Charlie Jones might be more valuable than Andre Yoshivas, but they mainly only used him as a special teams guy. And then when they drafted Jermaine Burton, I was like completely out on Charlie Jones. But the main upside I had as like an argument for Charlie Jones is when they move off of T. Higgins, maybe he'll be involved, but they re-signed T. Higgins. Charlie Jones probably not going to do jack shit this season. So at least he's getting some work in the preseason, but odds are he's not that involved. Interesting upside play, but not draftable, most likely. I'd rather go Jermaine Burton. And then with our last pick, I am going to go Dontavian Wicks to pair up with Jordan Love. We have Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs both dealing with injuries. And I do think Dontavian Wicks is going to be somewhat involved in this offense, at least to start the year. And it's a big rotation there. Christian Watson, I don't expect to come back. So I'll go Dontavian Wicks here. So a lot of receivers, we waited until the 4th round to take our first. And I think it's justified. There is some injury risk with the old guys, Stephon Diggs and Cooper Kupp. There's also the suspension for Addison. So I don't feel like hyper safe with my wide receiver core. I think this is a decent team to be drafting 9 wideouts on. And I like the upside on all these last 4 picks I took. Torrey Horton, really high upside. AD Mitchell could be a big deep threat. Otherwise kind of irrelevant. Elik Ayamanor looking like the number 2 receiver in Tennessee. And then Dontavian Wicks, maybe the number 2 receiver at times in Green Bay. It does stack up with Jordan Love. And they use a big rotation in the Packers wide receiver core in the first place. So, interesting team. A little bit fragile, but in terms of like high-end values, like high-end production, I do have some good weapons. Like Gibbs and Bucky Irving is elite. Tight end core is really good. Obviously, any team with Lamar Jackson is very good at quarterback, and then Love is a very good backup to have. Receiver, I think, has enough depth where it will get me by. I think this team is pretty decent. Anyways, we did promise you a third draft earlier on, so if you do want to hop in, let's get that thing queued up. Let's get it ready. We'll do our second Pomeranian, the third draft of the live stream, the last draft of today. And if you're ready, I'm going to let you know in the chat when to join. When you see the words join now, that is when I am going to click the button myself. So I'll wait a few more seconds. There is a bit of a delay on the live stream, so I'll just be biding my time for a little bit. But in the next 10 seconds, I will drop the join now button. I hope you are ready. I hope you're ready. There are 3 spots left, so hopefully if you want one, you can get it. Now it is full. The Pom is definitely going to fill quickly. Anytime there's a $3 tournament, it fills quickly. But Severe Jury in here at 11, Albie in here at 3, and otherwise, I do not recognize anyone else. But we got some familiar names in this lobby. I'm seeing the replay on Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt's touchdown. That is pretty nice. That's exciting. Good for him. I hope they do trade Brian Robinson. I hope he's just the guy from week 1. That'd be really cool. But the starters are off the field. Looks like Josh Johnson is the quarterback now. And Chris Rodriguez is the running back alongside him. So it's the second quarter. The starters have been benched. I don't think I'll be watching the rest of this preseason game. I'll catch the highlights on YouTube later on. But this draft is underway. Pick 1 is on the clock. And we'll see what happens. But, ooh, interesting. At pick 9, another creator, I believe. I don't know if Walter Picks has a YouTube channel. I've never looked for it, but I have seen Walter Picks on, like, TikTok and Instagram. And Lions Walter Picks is in here at pick 9. We'll see what happens. Let's go, Albie. Happy to see you're in here with us. You go CeeDee Lamb at pick 3. But Coda with a question asks Davante Adams plus a first and a second for Devontae Smith and Judkins, 10-man full PPR Dynasty League. So I assume you would be giving away Devontae Smith and Judkins. I think I might rather have Adams and the 2 picks. I think the difference between Adams and Smith this year is not that much, but I would prefer to have Devontae Adams. I'm on the clock. Let me take a second. I'm going to go Puka, Drake London. Let's go with elite wide receiver. We took elite running back in the last one. Let's mix it up. Let's go Puka and Drake London. We also get the Week 17 bring back with the Rams-Falcons game on Monday night. Should be a fun one. The Rams don't really have a secondary that scares you. That's kind of the only position group that the Rams have that is a question mark. Their corners are not the best players on their team. And then the Falcons secondary also doesn't scare you that much either. They have Jesse Bates in the secondary at safety, but their corners, I can't say, like, scare the living shit out of me. So let's go Puka, Drake London at the turn here. I might regret passing on a high-end running back, but generally at the top of round 4, you can still get a decent one. So let's roll with that. But back to your question, Coda. Sorry for the minor delay. Had to focus. This year, I'd still rather have Adams. And then Judkins is such a gamble at the moment. I think I'd rather just have the first and second round picks. In Dynasty, I think that might be more valuable than Judkins. So that's my preference. I've never played Dynasty, so I could be wrong, but I think the first and second round pick in next year's draft is more valuable than Judkins at the moment. Because who's to say you won't get a better running back with one of those picks next season? You know, it's still the Browns running back. That's not that valuable. Even if he's really talented, he probably gets suspended. Maybe he gets suspended at an inopportune time. Maybe it happens next year. I really have no idea what to project or expect from Judkins. And I think Adams is more valuable than Devontae Smith. So I would take Adams, the veteran, and the 2 rookie picks in Dynasty. That is my preference. But someone is blocking the camera. Leia is on the desk here. So it's been like a week since Leia's been on the live stream, but here she is making 2 appearances today. I guess technically 3. You're welcome, Coda. Happy to offer my opinion. Hope it works out for you. Good luck to you. Blocking foul on Leia. But she moved on. James Cook goes, so I will take TreVeyon Henderson here. I was considering, the plan was kind of to go James Cook and TreVeyon at this turn, so I'll at least get one of them. And then the big question is, who am I taking with this other pick? Do I take the price discount on Garrett Wilson? It's kind of tempting, but with Stafford practicing, F it. I'm going to trust my rankings. I'm going to still go with Davante Adams. I'd rather have Adams than Garrett Wilson this season. George Kittle, not a bad pick. Neither is Jalen Hurts in the 4th round. I could have gone that direction, but we got Puka. We're setting up that Falcons-Rams game combo, and let's just bet that Stafford's healthy. Let's go with Adams here at pick 37. Does it feel safe? Not really, but I'm willing to take the gamble, especially on a $3 buy-in. Let's have that shot at $25,000. So double Rams receiver with Drake London. Receiver is very strong on this team. And then with TreVeyon Henderson, we might be getting a top 10 running back. It's definitely possible. He looks phenomenal. He's got all the speed, a lot of pass catching ability as well. And it also could set me up for that Drake May stack I wanted in the last lobby. Albie says the reason I took Hampton is knowing that Henderson would not make it back to me. Yeah, there's no way at this point in time that Henderson is going to be there at pick 46. That's just a long gone price point on TreVeyon. But if this was Best Ball Mania, I might not have taken TreVeyon there at 36. But this tournament dropped today, so this is just where TreVeyon is going in this tournament. So not competing with teams that get him in the late 6th round. I'm happy to take TreVeyon in this tournament this high. Anyways, Kittle goes right after me to severe jury, Quincy Jones. If I didn't take Adams, it was between Kittle and Garrett Wilson, and I probably would have taken Garrett Wilson. I probably would have gone George Kittle. So good pick there. Kittle in the 4th feels like easy money. But then Garrett Wilson goes at 39, followed by worthy George Pickens at 41, Tet at 42. I'm kind of surprised that Tet has not fallen. Tet is dealing with a hamstring injury, and now he does not feel like a safe pick at all at the top of the 4th. So he falls a few picks. I kind of want to readjust my ranking on Tet a little bit. But then Kenneth Walker at 43, JMO, Cortland Sutton, Jalen Hurts goes to Albie. Terry at 47. And then Brees Hall, Burrow, Ridley, Devontae, Metcalf. And some running backs are now coming off the board. I think I'm going to go RJ Harvey. I need some running back points. And then the question is, do I pair him up with James Conner or do I just grab a reliable wide receiver? Decisions. I'm going to take Ricky Pearsall. Feels kind of locked into the wide receiver 1 production in San Francisco. And I have him like back-to-back with Egbuka, but I have a lot more shares of Egbuka. So it's really a toss-up. I like the pick there. Severe Jury going Egbuka at 62. It was either them or Deebo Samuel. But I'm trying to catch up a little bit on my Pearsall exposures. So I'll take Pearsall. But every pick so far in round 5 has been really good. Round 6. Maybe not Pacheco this high, but the first 5 picks of round 6 I think are very, very good options. Oh, Quincy, you're making me long for those days. I was drafting Travion like crazy in round 6. I am so happy that this summer I was fading Chuba, Kamara, RJ Harvey, James Conner in the 5th round. Like, in my opinion, they were all in the same tier as Travion, and I would just pass on them in the 5th and take Travion like crazy in round 6. I'm so happy I got a shit ton of Travion Henderson. I'm at like 19% Travion Henderson. I got a lot of exposure to Travion in round 6. I miss those days. But feel very confident that he's a good pick. So even taking him at 36 is fine. But damn, that was a really good value when you could get it. But Swift goes after Pacheco, then Olave Rome at 69. Diggs at 70. Pollard, Caleb Johnson, Dave Montgomery. And now Addison off the board. Albie saying if I don't have the most Travion in all of Underdog, I'm a close second. Yeah, Albie's also been boasting about his Travion exposures all summer. Man, I can't wait for the season to start. It's going to be so fun to see some of these like investments pay off. I think some of the rookies this year are going to be really, really good. In general, we always have valuable rookies, but some of these rookies I think are phenomenal. But Jawan Jennings falls to pick 80. Jennings after Keon Coleman. That's kind of interesting. Judy goes 81. Of course, you snipe me on Jaden Higgins. This is one team where I'm comfortable not having Jaden Higgins, in all honesty. I think I'm going to go Laporta. And then I'm going to pull him up here. I don't give a shit. Give me JCM at the 7-8 turn. Let's go JCM and Laporta. Fuck it. Let her rip, baby. We've seen JCM go around pick 100 each of the last two drafts, and that means I'm not going to get him at 108. Let's take JCM at 84. Did I snipe you, Quincy? Maybe if you didn't snipe me on Higgins, I might have let him go, but I'm at the bookend. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Looks like this is what y'all wanted. Let's go. Another thing that like makes me really happy about my Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt exposure is the fact that I don't have any Brian Robinson. Like, let me find out what my Brian Robinson exposure is for y'all, because this is gonna be kind of funny. I think I've shown it before, but I want to know what it is exactly right now. Pull up my exposure. I have passed so hard on Brian Robinson. Okay, here we go. This is my Commanders exposure. I'm at 12.5% Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. I've taken him 31 times in 250 drafts. And then Brian Robinson, I've taken 9 times. That's 3.6%. Brian Robinson Jr. 3.6% Brian Robinson Jr. Oh, that feels good. I'm very happy I faded Brian Robinson for Ja'Cory. You know, today's the day. He scored a great touchdown in the preseason. His price is gonna skyrocket even higher. And if they do trade B Rob, then it's his job from week one. Quincy says you won't be taking Goff here though, unless Purdy falls to me. You do have Amon Ra. I'm kind of surprised you pass on Laporta, but I guess you just knew that I would take Higgins if available. Thank you, Cobra. Almost like all of my late round flyers have been just fucking steaming up the board the last few weeks. I'm getting very excited about my like all of the teams I drafted in May and June and July. I'm getting really excited about because they got a lot of Ja'Cory, a lot of Torrey Horton, a lot of Dante Thornton, other players like that. Okay, here I am. I will take Drake May. I want the stack with Travion. And then only other question is, what else do I do? I'm going to go Bo Nix. We're going with the running back stacks on this team. Drake May and Bo Nix. I got Bo Nix ranked the highest, so I'll go Bo Nix. And no offense, Quincy, but in all honesty, I was not planning to stack Goff at all. I was not in the market for Goff. Even with Laporta, I'm not dying to take, especially when Bo Nix is there. But I have Goff ranked behind Jordan Love. I have Goff ranked behind Justin Fields, who is also available at the top of ADP. I'm not really on board with Goff that much this season. I think he's a good floor play. I think he's a great backup to have. So he's fine in this range, but that was not my plan. If you want more details on my quarterback rankings, I did post that earlier today, so it's available on the channel for public viewing. If anyone wants to check that out, go ahead. But Goff is valuable. I don't want to shit on Goff, but with Bo Nix at the top of ADP, I'd much rather draft Bo Nix. And I do have a Bronco to stack up, so we stack up the running backs on this team. In general, you're stacking wide receivers, but today I stack running backs. Cobra, this is a very fair point. If he does indeed get traded to Houston, that might not be the best landing spot for him, but if Mixon is not healthy, then could definitely work out. I would just expect a rotation with him and Nick Chubb and Woody Marks. He's probably the top guy though if he does go to Houston, but maybe he goes to a different team. I doubt he goes to Dallas. I doubt he's traded in division. That's the best landing spot for sure. Otherwise, like where is a good landing spot at running back? Like in general, running back trades don't really happen. They're kind of rare. But I don't know, maybe the Saints behind Kamara. That's kind of the only place I can kind of think of. There's not many like open backfields that I can think of. Like the Giants don't need him. That's also in division. The Jags have way too many backfield running backs already, so Jags is kind of open, but not a good landing spot. The Texans is really the only appealing option for a landing spot for B-Rob, but I don't think it's going to happen. Anyways, I'm going to take DeMario here to stack up with Drake May. And then I could technically go Michael Penix, but I already have two quarterbacks. I don't know if that's the best decision. I'll go Ray Davis. I'm still a believer that Ray Davis has a lot of value. I could still see him score a lot of touchdowns, and I need some running back points. We got 3 rookies. Let's get another running back on this team. Let's go Ray Davis. Albie says, according to the draft clock, I'm on a 12-second delay. That's a bit longer than usual. Usually it's like 6 seconds. Sometimes it's been like 10, but today it's 12. Interesting. But Quincy goes Braylon Allen. I think that's a very fair pick. I think once Bigsby's off the board, you can definitely take Braylon. But I still see a kind of higher upside with Ray Davis personally. But Braylon Allen definitely has a safer floor. So a very good pick in round 12. I like that pick a lot. And maybe I sniped you on Ray Davis, given you have James Cook. But maybe you don't want a handcuff. Maybe you want a different team running back investment. Anyways, here's the team so far. I have Drake May stacked up with DeMario and Travion. I have Bo Nix stacked up with RJ Harvey. Maybe we'll take Pat Bryant or Marvin Mims later. At running back, I have Travion Henderson, RJ Harvey, JCM, and Ray Davis. My tight end is Sam Laporta at a good discount. Round 8 Laporta feels pretty good. And then wide receiver, we are kind of top heavy, but we have very good wide receivers so far in Puka, London, Devontae Adams, Ricky Pearsall, and Demario Douglas for the stack. Quincy says, I'm not a handcuffer. It's not everyone's preference. It's probably more valuable in season long than it is best ball, but I don't think it's a bad strategy. I think especially if like you have injury concerns and you kind of have like a lot invested at running back, like you kind of have a thin depth chart at that position. If one of your guys goes down, then you know exactly who's going to fill in those weeks. So I don't think it's a bad strategy, but it's not something I do all the time myself. I don't blame you for not caring about the handcuff. I think on this team, I will grab Stafford. The only question is, am I going to push Stafford later? His ADP is 177. And other than the Kyron Williams team, I'm the only guy that has a Ram. His ADP is 177, but now that he's practicing, he's probably going to go a bit higher. My next pick would be 180. I think I might feel compelled to draft Stafford here at this turn. Just to lock him up. And then I'd much rather draft Hunter Henry than Kyle Williams. So I'm going to pass on Kyle Williams and get the Drake May combo. And then the question is, do I grab Stafford here or not? I'm going to do it. I'm going to grab Stafford. I don't think he'll make it all the way back around. But maybe that was the wrong pick. Maybe he would have lasted. I have both Rams wide receivers, so I think it does benefit me to grab the stack. But I've got a triple stack in New England for Drake May. I've got the running back stacked up with Bo Nix. And then I've got a double stack with Stafford. And I can still stack him up with some other options later as well. But I think he'll be okay. I think he'll be all right. It's not a guarantee. But I think at least when it matters most in the fantasy playoffs, I think Stafford will be on the field. At least I'm hopeful that that'll be the case. But if I draft Puka and Adams on the same team, in general, I want Stafford. Not going to take Jimmy G. Not going to give a fuck about Jimmy Garoppolo. But if I didn't take Stafford, I probably would have gone Garendo. So Quincy does take him at 158. This is a good price on Garendo. Round 14. I know he's kind of banged up, but not bad. Quincy says, you almost subconsciously convinced me to take Stafford considering how many times you said his name. I don't think that would have been a wise decision for you, Quincy. You have no Rams. You have Baker and Goff. I don't think Stafford above ADP would have been a good pick for you. Tillman at 155, not a bad pick. Yes, would have been horrible. Looks like Drake May is in the chat with us here. And the Pats are definitely a playoff team, in my opinion. I don't think Vrabel's going to let you down. The schedule's too easy for the Pats to not be a double-digit win team. Pats are a playoff team this season. Granted, I do still think taking an early quarterback is not a terrible decision, but in general, oftentimes the team that drafts quarterback the latest is the team that wins the league. Like last year in the subscriber league, I won the league with Jared Goff off the waiver wire. My receiving core is kind of thin, so I'll go Quentin Johnston here and also Pat Bryant. I could grab a running back, but I'm thin at both positions. What's going on? There we go. Yeah, give me another stack with Bo Nix. But yeah, some of the prices on quarterback are like egregiously late. However, what's interesting is I think the quarterbacks that go in rounds 9 and 10, and then like maybe 1 or 2 in round 11, I think are really valuable. Not every single one, but a decent amount of them. And then the players in rounds 12, 13 are kind of not worth it, you know? Like the gap between quarterback 7, quarterback 8, 9, 10 is kind of a big drop off between them and quarterbacks like 20, 22, but they all kind of go off in like the same like 3-round stretch. This might upset you, Drake May. You might be biased, but I do think Bo Nix a bit more valuable than Drake May. Just barely. Just because we've seen it before. And Sean Payton, I trust a little bit more than Josh McDaniels. But Drake May is going to prove a lot of doubters wrong this year. Drake May is going to look very good this year. He's a little reckless sometimes. Sometimes there's a lot of turnovers that you don't like. Like last year, he only played like 10 full games and he had 16 turnovers. That's not good. 16 turnovers in 10 games. That's like almost Jameis Winston level, you know? I expect a lot of that to be cleaned up this year. I don't expect anywhere close to that. But the turnover problems for Drake May are a little more concerning. Bo Nix does not have that problem. But this is a valid point. Last year's offense for the Patriots was absolute garbage. Drake May has phenomenal upside. But if you look at the back half of Bo Nix season, he was averaging almost 21 points per game. Bo Nix, with less rushing yardage, was still putting up better numbers than Drake May. But they're both really good. I have Drake May at 11. I have Bo Nix at quarterback 7. And the tier break is not much different. It's like maybe a point per game. Yes, this is accurate. Bo Nix is safer, but equally high upside. Both very valuable. Anyways, I only have 2 picks left. I need a running back for sure with this team. We only have 4 so far. And if he's there, I think I'll grab Sean Tucker. We don't take Sean Tucker very often, but I'm willing to grab Sean Tucker. And then I could technically go maybe with another running back, but I'm going to bet on these rookies. I'm going to bet that Travion, RJ Harvey, and JCM pay off, and then I'm also going to bet that Ray Davis has legit value. We'll go a little bit thin at running back on this team, unless Quincy snipes me on Sean Tucker here. No, he goes Blake Corum. So let's take a look at the other options. I don't think I need an 8th receiver, given who I have at the top here. With Puka, London, Adams, I don't think I need an 8th. Instead, I'll stack up Stafford once again. I'll grab another tight end. I'll go Terrence Ferguson. There's some high upside in the Rams tight end room. And I do trust Terrence Ferguson well above Tyler Higbee. So this is the team, 3-5-7-3 build, so a little fragile at running back and wide receiver, but I really like the players we have. We have Drake May, Bo Nix, Matthew Stafford. Feels like a good quarterback room. Stafford, a little risky, but we have the quadruple stack in LA, so warranted for sure. At running back, we need these running backs to pop. I think they will. We have Travion, RJ Harvey, JCM, Ray Davis, and Sean Tucker. Maybe some of the rookies take a little while to get going, but I do trust RJ Harvey a lot more than Dobbins. And then JCM, at this point, let's just trust him well above Brian Robinson. Ray Davis, hoping for some upside. I hope it still works out. I've been heavily invested in Ray Davis all summer. And then Sean Tucker maybe is more valuable than Rachaad White after all. Wide receiver, we started off pretty strong with Puka, London, Adams, and Pearsall. That's very, very strong. And then DeMario, Quentin Johnston, Pat Bryant, I think have some upside and decent floors as well. And then tight end, I think is pretty good with Laporta at a good value, Hunter Henry for the stack, and also Terrence Ferguson for the stack. So that's the team. We'll take a look at the other teams that drafted with us. We had Severe Jury Quincy in here at pick 11. His team has Baker, Jared Goff at quarterback. He also goes Shedeur Sanders in round 18. And Shedeur is stacked up with Cedric Tillman. Good luck with that. At running back, you have Ashton Jeanty, James Cook. High caliber top 2 options. And then some good backups with Braylon Allen, Isaac Guerendo, Jalen Wright, and Blake Corum. I'm glad you took 6. I think given how long you waited, I think it's good to have 6 when Braylon is your RB3. Tight end, you have Colston Loveland and George Kittle, so elite production at tight end. And then wide receiver, you have Amon-Ra, Zay Flowers, Egbuka, Jaden Higgins. I think that's fine. A little bit shaky at wide receiver 2, but I think the depth works out. And then you also have Ayuk, Cedric Tillman, Adam Thielen, but only 7 receivers total. That's a little bit thin. I think maybe instead of Shador, I would have drafted another wide receiver. Like, I think I would have gone Elika Yamanor instead of Shador Sanders. I would have liked to have an 8th receiver because Ayuk, don't feel that safe about that. Tillman is a big gamble, and Thielen probably gets hurt at some point. I think that would have been the only thing I changed. Grab one more wide receiver, but who knows? I could be wrong. Maybe that's the combo you need. And then Albie was also in here with us as well at pick 3. Albie has at QB Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Jalen stacked up with Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. That's always nice. And then Dak stacked up with CeeDee Lamb. Anyone else? Also Miles Sanders, but that's kind of irrelevant. Running back core is Jacobs, Hampton, very good at the top. Scatterboo, Tank Bigsby, interesting backups, but decent floor plays. And then Jerome Ford, Miles Sanders. I don't know if you needed 5 in all honesty, but I don't know if you needed 6, but I understand the strategy, given Scatterboo's a big gamble. Ford also a bit of a gamble. And then tight end core, you got Tyler Warren and Dallas Goedert. That's pretty good. And then the full receiver room is CeeDee Lamb stacked up with Dak, Devontae stacked up with Hurts, Stephon Diggs as the 3. Downs at a good value, but Downs with an injury, maybe not as valuable as he once was. Romeo Doubs, Jalen McMillan, Isaac Tesla, and Troy Franklin. Little risky there in terms of the depth, but at the top, anytime you have CeeDee Lamb, you kind of can feel like you can risk it a little bit. But I think you're okay. As long as Downs stays relatively healthy, I think you're okay. Quarterback room is strong, running back room is strong, tight end room is strong. Wide receiver, a little bit thin, but should be okay. Y'all have some decent teams, not bad. And then we did mention Lions Walter picks. Can't imagine they're watching the stream. If they are, let me know. But is in this lobby. I'm kind of interested in what Walter Picks does because I know they're a creator as well. They have Jaden Daniels at QB stacked up with Debo. They passed on Terry for Xavier Worthy. Personally, I wouldn't do that, but I do understand the upside of Worthy, so that's fine. Worthy is a good 4th-round pick as well. Backup quarterback is Trevor Lawrence stacked up with Brian Thomas. Love me some Brian Thomas, not bad. And then the full running back room is A-Chain, Chuba Hubbard, Tracy Etienne, Algier, Rachaad White, Will Shipley. I think this team went overboard on running back. I think that's a bit overkill. I don't think you need 7 running backs. Maybe because they took A-Chain, they feel like it's necessary. But I think that's a little too much. Also with the 3rd quarterback in Jackson Dart, just noticing that. So what's the wide receiver room looking like? Brian Thomas, Worthy, Debo, Judy, Burden as the 5th, and then Slayton as the 6th. Very risky at wide receiver. A little thin at receiver for my liking. Ertz is stacked up. Ferguson also on the team. The team at 9 is maybe not the way I would have approached it, but maybe they know something I don't. They got Judy at a good value, but in general, that's not a great pick, in my opinion. Quincy says Slayton, wide receiver 1. You know it. Anyways, that's going to be it for this live stream. That's it. And right as we're ending, the stream gets spammed by one of the chat bots. That's okay. That's going to be it for me. Thank you, Albie, for deleting those messages. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you had a good time. And as I mentioned a few times in this video today, I did post my quarterback rankings today. I ranked every single quarterback, not just the starters. I also have the most valuable backups. I went like 40 quarterbacks deep in today's video. So go ahead and check that out. It's almost an hour long, but I think it's worth it. I think it has a lot of valuable information. Maybe I'm biased, but I think that is worth your time. If you're interested in my opinion on the quarterback position, go ahead and check that out after I sign off. But thank you everyone who was here with us through the live stream. If you haven't done so already, drop a like on your way out. We have 18 viewers, 11 likes. Hit the like button for me. I'd appreciate it. Also, if you enjoyed, hit that subscribe button, and watch out for some updated wide receiver rankings being posted tomorrow. I recorded that today. I'm going to be editing it tonight, and tomorrow it'll probably be posted like early afternoon if my timing does work out on that. So that's what I'm expecting. A lot of content coming up this week, and then, it's week 3 of the preseason. We are getting there. So look out for all those videos. And today's Monday, but not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, the video I'm most excited for, the live stream I can't wait for, honestly, will be dropping. The Subscriber League auction draft is next Wednesday, August 27th. Can't wait for that. We're 9 days away. That's going to be so much fun. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. I hope you have a great rest of your Monday, and enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.